The idea that a government official like yourself would claim unilaterally to represent science, that any criticism of you would be considered a criticism of science itself, is quite dangerous. Central planning, whether it be of the economy or of science, is risky because of the fallibility of the planner. It would not be so catastrophic if the planner were simply one physician in Peoria. Then the mistakes would only affect that physician's patients, the people who chose that physician. But when the planner is a government official like yourself who rules by mandate, the errors are compounded and become much more harmful. A planner who believes he is the science leads to an arrogance that justifies, in his mind, using government resources to smear and to destroy the reputations of other scientists who disagree with him. In an email exchange with Dr. Collins, you conspire, and I quote here directly from the email, to create a quick and devastating published takedown of 3 prominent epidemiologists from Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. Apparently, there's a lot of fringe epidemiologists at Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. And you quote in the email that they, or from Dr. Collins, and you agree that they are fringe. And immediately there's this takedown effort. A published takedown, though, doesn't exactly conjure up the image of a dispassionate scientist. Instead of engaging them on the merits, you and Dr. Collins sought to smear them as fringe and take them down. And not in journals, in lay press. This is not only antithetical to the scientific method, it's the epitome of cheap politics, and it's reprehensible, Dr. Fauci. Do you really think it's appropriate to use your $420,000 salary to attack scientists that disagree with you?
Wow, that's a very tense moment unfolding right now between U.S. Senator Rand Paul and, of course, Mr. Science himself, Dr. Fauci. And initially I wrote that Rand Paul is not holding back any punches here, but to be honest, he most likely is, and that's pretty scary to say the least. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org. We got a lot of absolutely crazy information to get into, as of course there was yet another leak about Dr. Fauci that we're going to be talking about in this video, in the backdrop of a lot of very interesting things happening behind the scenes, and overtly with, of course, this sickness, where it's going, what's going to happen next. Well, we're going to try to answer that, plus a lot more, all of course in this video. So much news to get into, we're just going to jump right into it. This as today, the unaccountable surveillance intelligence state just announced that they are setting their eyes internally, as the U.S. Justice Department just announced that they are creating a new unit to counter domestic threats here in the United States. What are these threats? Well, there's just some vague generalized language about January 6th issued with this latest decree, with this latest expansion of the intelligence surveillance state, which of course is very concerning since of course this country politics has been extremely divisive to its people, its culture, and of course its overall existence. The government getting involved here, I don't think will make it better. I think there's a larger divide and conquer agenda. I think there's some larger psyopses at play here, since of course even admittedly, according to the Financial Times today, quote, psyops are crucial weapons in the war against disinformation. This as the Swedish intelligence agencies and government have just announced, quote, new psychological operation agencies that will attack, quote, falsehoods that spread online. The Financial Times even said how other countries will follow Sweden's lead, as of course other countries like the United States and Israel, even in the United Kingdom, have already implemented very similar psychological operations, admittedly a few years ago, which I was ranting and raving about for a long time now. The fact that this is now out in the open shouldn't be a surprise to everyone, especially with the establishment bragging about how they're tricking people psychologically to think along the lines of the government and official party in power. This as, of course, the government looks and seeks to control more aspects of our daily lives, not only with a domestic passport system, but with a track, trace, and database surveillance system that is literally creating something that is almost identical to the social credit score already implemented in China with their larger technological Orwellian domination of society. And as the government keeps requesting more unaccountable incredible authority and power over your life, a lot of people give it to them because of the fear that some of these same government officials spread, which we're learning about might have not been justified in the very beginning, as the CDC just admits that 75% of all deaths related to the global sickness were people who had at least 4 comorbidities. These are also the same intelligence, surveillance operations and agencies that, of course, protect very bad men like Prince Andrew and Mr. Epstein and other elites who have done unspeakable things to small children, as, of course, the intelligence agencies ran a cover-up operations for over 30 years of these heinous acts. All of this as there's going to be a major court decision surrounding Prince Andrew's court proceedings in just a few hours. We're keeping a very close eye on that, and we'll be reporting on it as it develops. And if you're looking for psyops, look no further than, of course, the latest Associated Press article that fact-checked the theory of mass formation psychosis, officially declaring it a falsehood, officially fact-checked by Mr. J. Von Bavel, who literally, quote, encouraged behavioral nudging people into compliance with the whims of government, and a man who also unironically quoted Joseph Goebbels. This, of course, as other journalistic institutions like Project Veritas get censored, as, of course, J. Von Bavel's ideology gets regurgitated everywhere through other corporate media. And now please tell me how you think that there aren't any psyops here in the United States, because I would sure love to hear an argument against it, as, of course, all the signs are on the wall that there definitely is already an ongoing, complex psychological operation against the American people, against free will, for, of course, the benefit of the state. And as information gets censored, this is once again why we have started LukeUncensored.com, where in yesterday's video we explained this latest CDC bombshell with another development that is worth paying attention to. In today's video, we specifically will be talking about some of the very strange events happening to a lot of people, while of course talking about the latest developments that are definitely worth noting. To hear that exclusive video, you have to go to LukeUncensored.com. I hope to see you there later on today, as we will have new breaking videos with content that strives not only to make you aware of the actual current situation said in an uncensorable way, but also information packed to, of course, try to help you as much as we can. All of that available on LukeUncensored.com. Click the link down in the description below. And also, if you're wondering about the shirt that I have now that says Mass Formation Psychosis, you could get yours on thebestpoliticalshirts.com, which is also linked down in the description below. Now, I think it's very fair to say that within the span of the last 2 years, the vast majority of the American population has been gripped by fear, uncertainty, and anxiety that has been fed to them by a lot of the institutions that have clearly failed us throughout all of this within the last 2 years. This kind of hysterical behavior could be best described with incidents like we just seen unfold in Texas, where a teacher mistreated her own child in fears of something that was hyped up to her by, of course, the corporate media and, of course, individuals like Dr. Fauci, causing people to, of course, act absolutely irrational, like a mother who already had one test, but still somehow needed the confirmation of a second one and hurt her child in order to do so. Now, I don't want to just hyper-focus on, of course, Dr. Fauci here, but as an individual, he has declared himself as the science and has been making a lot of very significant decisions since the very beginning of this, especially with U.S. President Donald Trump giving him leeway to do whatever he wanted to do. A lot of the things that he has called for, he has flip-flopped himself on, contradicted himself, while of course also closely working and corresponding with billionaires who have an invested interest in some of those policies that Dr. Fauci helped institute. But it definitely seems like the walls are closing in for Dr. Fauci, as of course the GOP Oversight Committee, along of course with Project Veritas, have just released some very damning documents surrounding what could be some absolutely very sinister behavior by a man that the majority of the country trusted with the response to this sickness, as the GOP Oversight Committee has just released never-before-seen NIAID director emails with Dr. Fauci showing the possibility that he concealed information about the origin of this sickness from the Wuhan Level 4 laboratory, and of course intentionally downplayed this theory that many medical professionals believe was the actual origin of this sickness. There's emails showing that Dr. Fauci was warned about the potential of this leak, the potential of this sickness being intentionally genetically manipulated, which was key, crucial information that the people of the world, especially the scientific community, should have known and could have better braced and prepared for the larger implications of this sickness that was released on the world. Now, why would Dr. Fauci conceal this information, this larger possibility? Well, again, that's a question that Dr. Fauci should be asked, that he should answer. In his exchange with U.S. Senator Rand Paul, Dr. Fauci really didn't have a response to the U.S. Senator, and then he droned on the conversation about how many people don't like him. This is also happening as Project Veritas has also just released very damning military documents specifically about gain-of-function research surrounding this global sickness, which directly contradicts the testimony that Dr. Fauci previously gave under oath. Once again, proving that Dr. Fauci lied to the American people, which of course is a serious crime, and saw other people like Roger Stone seen prosecuted and found guilty of committing similar acts, which sentenced him to 40 months in prison. Will Dr. Fauci be held accountable by those same standards as, of course, Roger Stone was for lying under oath? Well, of course, the chances of that with this corrupt justice system is absolutely very minimal, to be completely honest with you, as, of course, the U.S. Justice Department is becoming more political by the day. But these latest military documents specifically state that EcoHealth Alliance, when being run by Dr. Fauci, approached DARPA in March of 2018 seeking funding to conduct gain-of-function research of bat-related sicknesses that are similar to the sickness that is going around right now, that specific category of it. The proposal was called Project Diffuse and was, of course, rejected by DARPA over safety concerns and the notion that this violates gain-of-function research moratorium. Now, of course, this is important because this research that was turned down by DARPA, that does already crazy experiments, was turned down because of safety, but then later conducted in places like China, where there wasn't safety protocols and regulations like they were in here in the United States. So Dr. Fauci and EcoHealth Alliance went behind and against the recommendations of DARPA and did something that they were warned there would be some significant safety concerns about. And this was in 2018. This, of course, has some serious ramifications. There's also some other things in the documents we can't mention. We're going to be talking about that specifically on LukeUncensored.com, as, of course, Project Veritas and some of their staff members are currently being censored by big tech social media for talking about a lot of these issues. But this is major bombshell news that Dr. Fauci absolutely deserves to be questioned on. This, as just moments ago, the CEO of Pfizer announced that he has a fourth procedure, a fourth product ready for everyone, which allegedly will help this latest variant, which, according to the Massachusetts water waste data, suggest is spreading far more than even previously known about. And as Big Pharma wants to sell you a fourth product, there's other people like the ex-chief of the UK health program, specifically surrounding this product, that are saying, hey, we should just treat this like the flu, since in many countries, the data that they're getting is suggesting that this is, of course, the best thing to do. The Epoch Times wrote a very interesting, compelling argument for this, saying, quote, "It's time to drop the hysteria and learn to live with this sickness. The Spanish government just announced that they're going to be treating this sickness like the common flu, and of course, more countries are soon going to be following that kind of protocol, since, of course, this makes a lot more sense than the current one instituted by, of course, Dr. Fauci, which literally has these types of scenarios unfolding in Chicago, where sports ball teams are allowed to gather in the thousands, as, of course, schools are canceled, all in the name of public safe. Japan definitely is treating this type of situation in a more responsible adult way, and I think we should definitely start looking at them as an example of the things we should be doing rather than the things we shouldn't. Here in the United States, we have the prospect of a fourth product. Other countries are sending home care packages and giving them out to individuals with preventative treatment, which we're going to be talking about extensively on LukeUncensored.com later on today. I hope to see you there. And one of the ways that this video gets out there to the general public is with literally you guys sharing it with your friends, family members, random people. They're walking down the street, you're in the supermarket, you bump into them and be like, hey, check out my cool t-shirt. Second, that might be a little bit obnoxious, but be like, hey, you should really step out of that matrix that we're all in. Since almost everything in our mainline society is artificial and fake and not what it purports to be, and almost everything we're being promoted to is an absolute lie, and that's why you should go check out youtube.com/wearechange. You should use those exact words, take a pen and paper, just write them down. Try to remember them. Don't remember them. Read them off the paper. Just bump into a random person. You have to tell them that. Well, you don't. I don't believe in force. I'm just kidding around here. I'm being facetious. But seriously, sharing these videos means the world to me. And because you do that, I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.